Late on the afternoon of September the 3rd, 14-month-old Peter Ian Smithson was admitted to Fulchester General Hospital with multiple injuries to the head and body. Subsequent police investigations centred on 25-year-old mother of three, Mrs. Sheena Smithson. Although she claims Peter's injuries were caused accidentally, Sheena today faces trial in Fulchester Crown Court on the charge of attempting to murder her baby son.
Sergeant Harcourt, when the accused first made this statement that you've just read to the court, how would you describe her attitude?
Well, she was anxious, of course.
Could you tell why this was so?
Because of the condition of the injured child, sir.
Do you know if there were any other reasons for her anxiety?
Madam?
Well, she was giving you an account detailing the infliction of horrendous and near-fatal injuries on her baby son. Now, what tone did she use to deliver the statement?
Well, she was quiet and collected, I suppose.
And did she remain like this throughout her time with you?
No, madam. When she was actually charged and told she couldn't go home, she began to cry.
How did she behave then?
Rather the same as when I first asked her to come down to the station.
What way was that?
Well, she was very upset. She said she was concerned about her two daughters.
In what way?
Well, she said she didn't want her mother-in-law to look after them. She didn't want that at all. She had to be forcibly restrained.
You mean she became violent?
Briefly, yes. Certainly hysterical.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Sergeant Harcourt, the injuries were so severe that they could only have been caused either by the child tumbling down the concrete stairs, as Mrs. Smithson says, or alternatively by the use of a blunt instrument.
So I understand, sir, yes.
Well, no such instrument has been found, has it?
A number of items were found in the flat which could have been used, sir.
Oh, yes? Such as?
Well, an electric iron, rolling pin, heavy saucepan, carpenter's mallet, some heavy kiddies' building blocks that were in a corner.
And these potentially lethal objects, are they being produced in evidence?
No, sir.
Why not? Well, shall I tell you why, Sergeant? It's because on not one of them was there found any trace of skin, blood, hair, nothing to indicate they had been so used. No proof at all.
No, but there would have been ample time to clean any instrument used in such an assault, so that such a search would be unlikely to produce any satisfactory evidence.
Says there would have been ample time, 18 hours, no less, for the stairs to have been cleaned before they could be examined.
Quite so, sir, yes.
You must have found this delay somewhat odd. An alleged assault of a most brutal nature, and yet it was the middle of the next morning before anyone bothered to notify the police.
That's not so unusual in cases of child assault.
Oh, you deal frequently with such cases?
Far too frequently for my liking.
Rather prevalent amongst the mothers of Fulchester, is it?
A certain class of mothers, sir, yes.
Certain class? What class?
Usually young.
Yes.
From the lower income range. Mm-hmm. Usually with several other kiddies in the family.
I see. So when you were called in to investigate the Smithson incident, you recognized the pattern. You said to yourself, a small council flat, overcrowded, several kids, young mother, nasty, yet another child basher.
My lord,
Oh, Mr. Lotterby, just stick to asking and not telling, eh?
My lord. Sergeant, these cases, they must be very distressing for you.
They are.
Signs of malnutrition, general retardation, squalid domestic circumstances, and I believe cigarette burns are a not uncommon characteristic.
I have known it, sir, yes.
So in these respects, the defendant's case was entirely untypical.
I suppose so.
A bright, neat, clean home. Two little girls, immaculately cared for. Baby Peter, anything but undernourished, let alone tattooed with cigarette burns. Correct?
Near enough.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you, Sergeant Harcourt. You may stand up.
I call Jack Percival Smithson, my lord.
Jack Percival Smithson, please. This way, sir.
So, Mr. Smithson, you did in fact say that you contacted the police very soon after your arrival home on the morning of the 4th.
I could see there was no else for it.
But you were reluctant to do so.
Well, of course I was reluctant. Well, Sheena's my wife. It's just that when it's a question of safety first and protecting innocent children from, well, you know, something harmful.
And you consider your wife to be just that? Potentially harmful to the children?
Oh, not to the two girls, mind. Not to Jean and Fiona.
But to Peter?
Aye, with the lad she's different. Always has been. It's almost...
Almost as though she's got a down on him.
Oh, aye, that. Certainly that. Poor little bloke.
Now, Mr. Smithson, have you ever, to your certain knowledge, seen your wife strike Peter?
Strike? Well, you see, what you've got to understand with Sheena, it was a difficult birth.
Peter's was.
Breech, caesarean, premature, well, you name it. And it was that gave her these moods.
Moods?
Aye, like depressions. Oh, I know that's to be expected when it's difficulty with feeding and treatment and things. And, of course, I did my best. And my mum, too, when she'd let her. But it was as if she was, well, changed.
You mean a personality change?
Well, she'd always had this thing about keeping them clean all the time. Oh, spotless. Well, that were easy enough when it was just the two girls, but our Petey's got this delicate tum. 10 minutes after his bottle and up it all comes. All over the shop. Well, of course, that would never do. Not for Madam.
I see.
And then there was his other end, almost as often. Well, it just used to drive her up the wall sometimes.
And it was on these occasions that she'd strike him?
Well, honest to God, it's as if she didn't know what she were on. Beside herself, and all the time this bloody clean.
Now, Mr. Smithson, you say you came back from a sales trip to Wigan and then you heard about what had happened. Now, why did you report the whole matter to the police instead of accepting that it was just an accident?
Well, because it wasn't no accident. Well, I mean, there was the door.
What about the door?
Well, it would never have been open. Not the way she says it was. Not for our Pete to crawl out. Keep slip chain on the all time she does. Because of our two girls.
You mean like the cleaning? The door is another one of her things?
Aye, well, it was the reason why she went to housing people to get a place on ground floor. Somewhere up near the new Kenlow estate, she fancies. You know, with a bit of a yard, like.
Well, that's reasonable enough.
Aye, well, you tried telling council.
As I believe she has done on numerous occasions.
Too numerous for my way of thinking. You can push that sort of person too hard.
Yes. Now then, you say that before Peter's birth, your wife was perfectly normal.
A good wife and mother, no complaints.
And your relationship with her? Were you happy together?
Like a couple of lovebirds.
Then there was this difficult birth and a difficult baby.
A year ago. Well, a bit more. Aye, that's all it is. And, spiky. Moody all the time. Always working herself up into a state.
About what sort of things?
Oh, about all sorts of things. About money. About, my mum. About getting a better place to live. About going down south. Well, about, where I'd been and who I've been with.
You mean your wife suspected you of infidelity?
Oh, aye. That and all. Reckons I'm at it all the time like a rabbit, she does.
Mr. Smithson, I'm sorry to have to ask you this, but have you ever given your wife grounds for these accusations?
Grounds? Aye. Plenty. Well, I'm a sinner, you see. I don't say me prayers. I swear from time to time. Take the odd jar. Well, part of the great permissive society, that's me. Well, no, that's grounds enough for her, you know.
I see.
Mind you, I'm not saying I'm the perfect husband. I've got me cash worries like everybody else. Inflation. HP, me mum to support.
But nothing you weren't able to manage as long as your wife could cope with things in the home.
Exactly. Well, it's as if after that birth, it left her a bit, you know.
A bit what, Mr. Smithson?
Well, a bit touched. You didn't know, with these moods, what she would do next. Well, what she might do.
Thank you, Mr. Smithson.
convinced that your wife wanted to murder your son. This is in character, is it, with your nearest and dearest, with whom, until only a year or so ago, you were like lovebirds?
Well, it's not up to me to say what she's charged with.
Maybe not, but it's your evidence that could convict her of it. Have you thought about that?
Of course I've bloody thought about it. It's my wife. It's just that, like I said before, it's for the kids, for Pete, his safety.
Mr. Smithson, you may be a confectioner's salesman, but kindly don't dispose of your products whilst giving evidence in this court.
I'm sorry, Your Worship.
Very well. Now, Mr. Lotterby.
I'm sure we can all appreciate your anxiety in this situation, Mr. Smithson. So, now then, you're telling us that your prime concern in all of this is for your baby son, Peter. Your wife, you say, has a down on him. She picks on him.
That's right.
They do not, at times, accuse her of trying to get at you through the child.
Well,
Oh, wasn't this a favourite theme of yours in the rows you're always having?
well, so what? It were true.
This was why she picked on him, as a means of getting at you.
Sometimes
She knew you cared for him because he was a boy, your only son and heir, so she used him as a weapon against you.
Right. Well, since you bring it up, right.
Nasty.
Aye. And do you know what else she used to say? Well, I'll tell you. We must be firm, she'd say. No spoiling. No spoiling, else he'll grow up like his dad. As if I was some sort of lower animal life. And that's how she used to go on.
Smithson!
I'm sorry, sir.
Kindly hand those sweets to the usher.
Your wife's sister in Perth. Now, she was deserted by her husband some years ago, was she not?
Yes.
Deserted with 4 children to support and no home of her own.
So?
Well, isn't it true that because of this, your wife harbours acute fears of desertion?
Happen?
Yes, and isn't it also true that at times you have taunted her with this threat?
No.
And you, in fact, told her to expect you home from the sales trip on the evening of the 2nd?
Well, I were held up.
Really? Well, I put it to you, sir, that you were not held up, that you never expected to return home before the 4th, but you told her the 2nd so as to provoke her anxiety, to aggravate her fears of desertion.
No, it's not true.
Did you make any attempt to contact her to explain?
But we're not on the phone.
Telegram?
But she knew. She knew I might get held up.
So you say.
I do.
I see. Well, it does seem that a rather different image is beginning to emerge, wouldn't you say? Not so much lovebirds as adversaries locked in a war of attrition. A war which culminated in a tragic accident on the stairs.
You what?
Do you deny the moment you came home that evening and heard what had happened, you saw it as the perfect chance of defeating your wife once and for all?
My lord, I protest this steamrolling tactic. Could my witness at least be allowed the opportunity to answer for himself?
But don't steamroll, Mr. Lotterby.
My lord, do you, in fact, have any answers to give us, Mr. Smithson?
Aye, it's a lot of bloody nonsense.
Ah.
And let us guard our language.
Sir.
Now, let's see if we can find any more illustrations of battle, shall we? Yes, now, at the committal proceedings, did you hear your wife plead not to be kept in custody? Was she not desperately anxious about the little girls? And did you not hear the chairman of the bench indicate that he might release her on bail? And didn't the police say they had no objection to this? Well, Mr. Smithson. And yet no one could be found to stand surety for her, could they? No one. Not her parents, they're dead. Not her sister, she's destitute. Her mother-in-law, maybe. Her husband.
She'd have killed Kid. We couldn't trust her.
The kid was away in hospital, and as for the 2 little girls, you've already said she was all right with them.
Well, she'd flipped. She'd done it once. We couldn't trust her.
I see. And is this why you've not once taken the little girls to see her? Not once.
How could we? In prison? Their mother in prison? Sick. That's what we had to tell them. Your mam's ill with an infectious disease.
Ill is precisely what she's become. thanks to your depriving her of all sight and sound of her children for the last 6 weeks, as I fancy the jury can see for themselves. But this is a war you've been fighting, isn't it, Mr. Smithson? A bitter, vicious, vindictive little war. I have no further questions.
You may stand down. You are released, so you may stay for the rest of the proceedings or depart as you wish.
Thank you, sir.
I call Violet Ann Smithson, my lord.
Yes.
Violet Ann Smithson, please. You come this way.
And when you arrived in the flat that evening, what happened?
Well, that's her there, Sheena. She wouldn't let me in. She had door on chain.
Were you able to persuade her to open up?
No, you couldn't reason with her. All she would say was as how little Petey had been hurt. So I said I'd go for doctor, but she said no, get ambulance. So I went down to the box on the corner and I telephoned the hospital and then I come back up again and I tried to get in, but she kept me waiting outside until the ambulance men came.
You must have found this rather odd under the circumstances.
Well, no, not exactly.
Oh?
Well, you see, I could see the signs, I could tell.
Now, did she eventually open up the door for the ambulance men?
Why?
And what did you see inside the flat, Mrs. Smithson?
Well, my first thoughts were for little Petey. And she had him lying on the settee, all pale and cold. Dead, I thought. She's gone and done for him this time.
But how would you describe the inside of the flat?
Oh, it were in a terrible mess. Kitchen were worse. There were water everywhere and dirty washing line all around.
And was this usual?
Oh, no. No, all right fussy she is. Close the door, no smoking, don't touch that, don't move that. Not that I'm faulting her for that. Oh, no. If she likes to live in a chapel, well, that's her lookout. But it's not my idea of an home.
Now, your daughter-in-law, Mrs. Smithson, how would you describe her condition?
She'd gone, well, all sort of quiet-like, dazed almost. Honest, you know, I don't think she'd know what she'd done. It's these moods of hers. It's like a disease.
Now, I think it's right that you then all went to the hospital.
That's right.
Now, why did you all go?
Well, so that I could take little Jean and Fiona back home with me afterwards. But, oh, no, I wasn't good enough, was I? The Grand's not to be trusted. The Grand might let him stay up late watching telly or something wicked like that. Oh, not that I fault her for that, though. It's the way she's been brought up. Oh, the airs they give her. And there was another reason why she didn't want me alone with them. That evening, she was afraid. She was afraid of what Fiona might tell me.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith.
All the way in the ambulance, she never took her eyes off that child. And when we got to the hospital, she made quite sure that I didn't get no time alone with her.
I see.
And you see why, don't you? You've only got to ask Fiona what went on in that flat that night. How the mother were laying into that poor little boy. Laying into the
Members of the jury, you will kindly ignore the witness's last statement.
Mrs. Smithson, your daughter-in-law doesn't trust you, says you spoil the children.
The only time I get to see them is when our Jack's home at weekends.
There is, in fact, considerable ill-feeling between you, is there?
I've tried to help her, especially since Petey were born. Oh, he were a difficult child.
But she rejects your help, does she?
Oh, she'd rather go outside. Oh, she'd rather go to welfare than turn to me.
And you feel she puts on airs?
She's brought it on herself. She's got no friends. She don't know anybody in the street. Far too good for them. She's too grand.
But she does have the welfare authorities in.
Oh, yes, that Miss James. University. She'd have her in to tea, but as for asking family in... Oh.
So it's not unusual for her to greet you with the chain on the door?
Regular.
So, in fact, her behaviour on the evening of the 3rd was not inconsistent with what you would normally expect?
Aye. And as I told you, I could see the signs.
Her behaviour was perfectly normal, but you could see the signs? I see. Have you any other family apart from your son, Jack?
None.
Husband?
Gone this 25 year.
So you draw a widow's pension, and I believe you do occasional domestic work. Is that correct?
Aye, that's right. Except when my back's playing me up.
So you manage on your own. Your son, he doesn't have to support you.
Oh, no, t'other way round, more like. What with the money she spends.
Oh, you regard your daughter-in-law as extravagant?
Oh, now, but best's good enough for her. It's a wonder how Jack's got output by.
You don't like your daughter-in-law too much, do you, Mrs. Smithson?
Well, like I said, it's the cook you've got to blame, not the pudding.
Ah, yes. Nevertheless, this particular pudding was not to your taste.
Well, now you mention it, no.
You've never got on, have you? Never accepted her?
I've tried.
Have you? I wonder. You see, I'm going to put it to you that you've never accepted her. You've always criticized and resented her at every turn. Her airs, as you call them, her background, her chapel, her high standards of childcare. You've criticized and fought her at every turn.
Why? I mean, why would I go on like that? No.
Oh, because, Mrs. Smithson, you're jealous of the girl who took your only son away from you.
My lord.
It's all right, miss, it's all right. Now, you listen. You don't know what I've gone through with that Sheena. You don't know what I've put up with her, the efforts I've made.
Do you deny it was you who persuaded your son to go to the police?
You what?
Do you deny you waited 2 hours outside their flat the following morning so as to catch him the moment he got home?
What if I did? If I did anything like that, it was for our Peter's sake. To protect him against her. Oh, it strikes me our Jack's much too loyal. Any other man would have divorced her by now, and now he will divorce her. And the tragedy is it's taken her half killing that poor little baby to show him for himself, to show her what she really is like.
And just what is she, madam? Your rival for his affections. No further questions.
Did you ever actually see the accused mistreat the little boy?
Well, it depends what you mean,
Yes or no, madam?
Not in anger.
Thank you. You may stand down. You may sit over there with your son if you wish to stay in for the rest of the proceedings.
I call Archibald Webster, my lord.
Yes.
Archibald Webster, please. Here he comes.
Director of Social Services in Fulchester.
I am.
Now, in May of this year, were you visited in your office by the accused in this case, Mrs. Sheena Smithson, with an appeal for help?
You could call it an appeal.
How would you normally respond when young mothers come to you saying they can't cope?
Normally, we'd have to refer them to the infants' clinic, see if they couldn't get a health visitor or home help of some kind.
Your staff are highly qualified in infant care.
The ones we've got are, but we're desperately short of people.
And nevertheless, in this case, you did respond, and you assigned a fully qualified social worker to a series of home visits.
Yes.
Would you tell the court why?
It was the way that Mrs. Smithson phrased her appeal.
What way was that?
She said that she couldn't cope, that the little boy was an extremely difficult child, and that if she didn't get help, she couldn't be held responsible for what she might do to him.
She couldn't be held responsible for what she might do to him. Now, was this phrased as a threat?
No. You see, she was in quite a state about it. She said that she was terrified of what she might do to him. And then when I asked her why, she said...
Yes, what did she say?
Well, that a couple of times already she'd lost all self-control with the child, and that next time it could be disastrous. She could do him some permanent injury.
The case of the Queen against Smithson will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Today in Fulchester Crown Court, Sheena Smithson stands accused of attempting to murder her baby son, Peter. Her husband and his mother have both given evidence against Sheena, claiming that she changed after Peter's birth, developing impulsive and dangerous moods. The witness currently giving evidence is the director of the local social services. At the close of yesterday's proceedings, he told how the accused had come to him pleading for help and had confessed to 2 prior assaults on Peter.
yes, I see. And you say this meeting was in May?
On the 7th.
Now, was this your first such interview with the defendant?
It was.
Nevertheless, isn't it true she had been seeking help from your department for over a month?
Yes, I believe she had, and one of my assistants referred her to the infant's clinic.
To which she had already been. It was you she wanted to see, but this privilege was denied her.
I am director of an extremely busy department.
Oh, yes, extremely busy. And also this particular woman had a reputation for being something of a nuisance.
My lord.
Oh, I'll withdraw that question. Help was denied her in April.
Oh, no, that is not quite the case.
So it was natural enough that going back again in May, she'd have known a more extreme line was necessary if she was going to penetrate the red tape, get some kind of response.
Well, she might have reacted in that way.
Well, this woman was at her wit's end. She felt utterly isolated. She was desperate to get her family into a new home. And she knew that unless she came up with something completely out of the ordinary, she'd be turned away yet again.
The fact remains, Mr. Lotterby, that she told me she'd twice lost all self-control and could no longer trust herself with the child.
And of course, with that sort of threat on record, you could ignore her no longer. Your offices are in County Hall?
Yes.
Where are also housed the departments of public health, education, housing, and so forth?
Yes.
So presumably you keep in close touch with these other departments?
We enjoy a fair degree of liaison.
And the defendant is, I believe, known not only to your department, but to most of the other departments as well.
She is indeed.
She has, over the years, registered a variety of complaints covering such things as fly and rodent infestations, the traffic dangers from the road outside, a local hooliganism, noise, polluted water supplies.
Mr. Lotterby, are you asking the witness or telling the jury?
Asking the witness, my lord.
Well then, since his replies are bound to be based on hearsay, I suggest that you withdraw your question.
His answers need not necessarily be based on hearsay, my lord.
Indeed? And how is that?
Oh, for instance, her requests for alternative accommodation
Would be a matter for the housing authority.
But whether or not the request was granted could depend on a recommendation from the Social Services Department from Mr. Webster.
I don't see what this has to do with rats, flies, and hooligans.
With respect, my lord, I submit that all these complaints are relevant to the single issue of the family's accommodation, and that they are matters which can properly be put to this witness.
Did you at any time recommend a change of accommodation for the Smithson family?
No, Your Lordship.
Thank you. Mr. Lotterby, you will withdraw your question.
With respect, my lord, before I do so, I would seek the court's
Mr. Lotterby,
indulgence
you
on
have
this.
heard my decision. The matter is concluded. Kindly continue with your cross-examination.
As your lordship pleases. Mr. Webster, this social worker you assigned to the Smithson's house, who was she?
Miss Alison James.
Yes. Now, was Miss James transferred from your department in mid-July last?
Yes.
Why was that?
I believe the reason stated in her application was that she felt that her views were no longer compatible with the policies of the department.
And why were they no longer compatible?
My lord, surely this is dragging us back again into the realms of hearsay.
Quite. Mr. Lotterby?
My lord, I shall be calling Miss James as a witness, so we shall be able to confirm it, whether true reasons for the transfer. Well, perhaps I could put it to you this way, Mr. Webster. Would I be right in saying that the reason Miss James left the department was because she disagreed with the department's view as to the proper housing for the family?
It was one of the areas of disagreement, as I recall. There were plenty of others.
But this was the crucial one. She wanted you to bring pressure on the housing authorities. You refused. There was a head-on clash, leaving her with no alternative but to seek a transfer.
Somewhat over-dramatized.
Really? Well, the jury will have a chance to decide that for themselves when Miss James gives evidence.
Precisely, Mr. Lotterby. And until she does, let's stop anticipating it, shall we?
My lord. Mr. Webster, I'm going to put it to you that Mrs. Sheena Smithson was indeed well known to you and your colleagues at County Hall, known as a nuisance and a troublemaker. Now, when she came to you in May with these wild claims and threats, you could risk ignoring her no longer. So you assigned Miss James, the most junior of your staff, onto a series of visits.
Oh, I must object to the
let me finish, please. But when Miss James came back to you on the accommodation issue, you dug your toes in. There were limits. You'd already given in to the Smithson woman once by granting her a social worker, but as for allowing her to manipulate you into giving her a better flat, well, that was too much. Well, Mr. Webster?
not only over-dramatized, but distorted beyond all semblance of the true situation.
Well, we shall see, Mr. Webster.
No further questions, my lord.
You may stand down, Mr. Webster.
That concludes the case for the prosecution, my lord.
Very well. Now, Mr. Lutterby.
With your lordship's permission, I should like to call as my first witness the doctor who has been treating Mrs. Smithson for some years. He has an urgent appointment this afternoon, my lord.
Have you any objection, Miss Tate?
No, my lord.
Very well.
I call Dr. William Park.
Dr. William Park, please.
You also treated baby Peter on his admission to hospital.
That's right. Though, of course, our consultant surgeon performed the actual craniotomy.
Now, Doctor, certain witnesses have referred to Peter's birth, and the suggestion is that it in some way induced a personality change in the defendant. Now, would you agree with that suggestion?
Well, a temporary reaction may be, but nothing permanent in Mrs. Smithson. There was postnatal depression, but that was only to be expected.
Why was that?
Well, to begin with, labour was started prematurely.
Was there a specific reason for that?
Well, according to Mrs. Smithson, she'd had a row with her husband, and he'd assaulted her. There was bruising on several places on her body.
And this assault caused her to go into labour?
About 3 weeks prematurely. The fetus was not properly aligned. A breech situation developed. We were left no alternative but a cesarean section.
I think I'm right in saying that the baby was put into an oxygen tent.
Yes, and as can sometimes happen, this led to a certain alienation on the part of the mother.
You mean because of the operation, Doctor?
No, sir. It's more that the infant isn't available when the mother recovers consciousness. The normal maternal instincts aren't triggered, lactation's affected. There's a whole lot of hormonal confusion, you could say.
And what effect might that have had on the defendant?
It could cause postnatal depression, and this in turn could affect the infant emotionally. A sort of vicious circle, if you like. There's no doubt she had a lot of difficulty with Peter, always restless and colicky, prone to minor infections, rashes, the lot.
Would the depressions have lasted long?
Not usually. But then, well, she did have 2 other young children already. And then Peter with all these problems. She's been inclined to get over-anxious, chronically short of sleep and so on.
Would these matters amount to a personality change, Doctor, or cause her mental condition to be described medically as abnormal?
Certainly not. I come into contact with scores of young mothers in the same boat. Worse, a lot of them.
When you examined Peter's condition in September, what were your conclusions as to the cause of his injury?
Well, I must say that I did not feel that they resulted from an assault by the defendant, since the injuries seemed perfectly consistent with her explanation.
And that was?
That he had tumbled down some concrete steps.
Yes. Did you know that forensic experts were unable to confirm her story?
Not until you tell me.
Yes. But from the injuries you treated, would you expect there to be any blood there on the stairs for them to find?
Minimal. Assuming it was the stairs, then the head must have struck on the flats and not the edges. Otherwise, the skin would have been severely split.
Doctor, were you surprised when you heard the police suspected this as a case of assault?
I was rather, because it was so unlike the usual baby-bashing case.
Oh, dear me. Baby-bashing? I suppose you mean child assault.
Yes, sir. But if I could just explain the usual sort of pattern we watch out for.
Yeah.
For one thing, careful study of the bruises often shows finger patterns where the child's been grasped. I noticed none on Peter. Then again, there'll often be lacerations on the oral mucosa.
What?
The gums and lips, sir, due to forcible feeding by the mother. None on Peter. Then again, ocular injuries to the eyes, they're very common. And another thing we often come across are cigarette burns, but I noticed none on Peter.
Was there anything to lead you to conclude that this was a case of assault?
Nothing at all.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Park, if I may say so, you give the impression of a young professional man most anxious to justify his actions.
I really don't see what you mean.
Well, as a doctor, is it not your duty to report a suspected case of assault to the police?
Well, if I suspected, yes.
However, isn't it also true to say that you're generally reluctant to do so, unless you're absolutely certain that there has been abuse?
I wouldn't say that.
Well, surely the need to keep on good terms with the parents, to avoid alienating them with your accusations of brutality. Now, surely this influences you.
Oh, they don't have to know. We can always inform the children's officer or put the NSPCC onto it.
Oh, but even so, the parents are bound to find out who starts the witch hunt.
Not necessarily.
Come on, Doctor.
In any event, as I say, I was perfectly satisfied that Peter's injuries were accidental.
Ah, yes, and that his mother was not the usual baby-bashing type. Dr. Park, isn't Mrs. Smithson's a very familiar face in your waiting room?
Maybe, but not because of injuries to our children.
No, but because of all sorts of minor ailments. Suspected deficiencies, ear and eyesight checks.
So she's over-anxious.
And not least about herself.
Maybe, but as I said, we've loads of mothers who are worse.
But she is over-anxious, neurotic even.
I wouldn't call her neurotic.
Well, one more question, Dr. Park. You're still treating young Peter, I take it?
Yes.
Would you tell us of his current condition, please?
He's still critical.
Still in intensive care after 6 weeks?
Yes.
Is further brain surgery anticipated?
It may be necessary.
Thank you, Doctor.
What is your religion?
Church of Scotland.
Take the book in your right hand and read the words from the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Well, Mrs. Sheena Smithson of flat 421 Kringle House, Fulchester.
Yes.
Now, Mrs. Smithson, you are accused of attempting to murder your son, Peter, on the evening of the 3rd of September last. Now, would you tell the court why you plead not guilty to that charge?
He was hurt by an accident.
Now, will you tell us how this accident occurred?
He managed to get out of the flat without my knowing it. He got along the balcony to the stairhead and tumbled down.
Will you tell us just how it was he was able to get out of the flat, as you say?
Well, see, it was a terrible day. Everything going wrong. The two girls, Fiona and Jean, had colds. A right sad wee couple they were. Peter was sickening for it, of course. Not so much snuffling yet, but upset in his stomach. It was raining outside, so we couldn't get out. Not to the shops or for a walk. And then the telly was on the blink. The picture coming and going. Not for me, you understand, but for the babes. I mean, well, when they're sick, the telly's a guide blessing. Just plonk them down there and, well, it keeps them occupied. But this day it was all the time, on and off. And each time I had to go in and...
You had to adjust it?
Thump it, fiddle with the knob. Oh, I'd gladly have burnt the thing.
So this, along with the children's illness, the rain and so on, well, it was, as you say, just one of those days.
Terrible.
Yes. Now, would you please tell
If I
the
could
court...
just work it out as it went.
Yes, please.
I'd not long changed Peter into a fresh romper suit. See, he burped up all over the other before I could catch him. I got a load of nappies and the like into the washing machine and set it to fill. It was just then that I heard the car outside, the door slamming like, and I thought it might be Jack.
You had, in fact, reason to be anxious about your husband.
It was like you said earlier. He was a day late home from his trip. I've been in and out several times in the afternoon to look out for him.
So you heard the car door slam?
I'm not long out there to look. When Fiona's at the door to tell me there's water all over, I ran back in, and of course it's the washer.
The washing machine, was it faulty?
Yes and no, it's just you have to watch it the while. Anyway, there was a right mess, and me and Fiona, we just started cleaning it up when I remembered the door. In my rush, I'd only pushed it to, you see. So I ran back through to check, and I found it wide open. I ran out onto the balcony, and there's wee Peter at the far end. He'd not long past the crawling stage. Still had to hold on when he toddled along. Well, it was stupid of me, I suppose, but there it was. I called out to him, started along. He looked round, and somehow his wee foot went over the top step.
And he fell. And then?
I fetched him up. He was knocked unconscious. I took him back in, laid him on the settee. I suppose I panicked there for a bit. I remember trying to give him the kiss of life, fetching a cold compress for his head. The girls must have caught my fright because they started greeting and carrying on like there was a terrible din. I didn't know what to do.
What happened next?
My mother-in-law arrives. I never thought I'd ever be so glad to see her.
And yet you didn't let her in.
I knew if she did, if I let her in, she'd start fussing and that. I knew the quickest way to get her off with the ambulance was to keep her at the door.
As in fact seems to have happened, she went immediately. And when she came back, what did you do?
I felt I couldn't cope with her, not on top of all the rest. I just waited for the ambulance, kept her outside. I'd have been out to the phone myself just then, mind, if she'd nae come.
At this point about there being no blood on the stairs, how do you account for that?
I don't see how there could have been. I managed to get a hold of him before he reached the bottom.
Now, you've heard the views expressed by your husband and your mother-in-law that you've been subject to mood since Peter's birth. Well, the inference is that you lose control during these moods and you can't be held responsible for what you do. Now, what do you say to this?
I do get awful tired sometimes, awful down, and then, like he says, the littlest thing seems to upset me. I get these black feelings of hatred. I hate Violet, hate Jack, hate myself, hate that flat. Most of all, I hate that flat. The noise, the neighbourhood, the trouble to the bins.
Control over your children.
Let the witness finish telling us for herself.
It's true, I do get them, sir. But I don't hate the three bens. You see, those three, they're my whole life. The only thing that makes any sense for me, any reason.
You're saying that you couldn't lose control ever to that extent?
No, I'm sure not.
And yet, listening to the evidence, I have gained the impression that you used to strike Peter.
Yes, I would, but not in anger.
Oh?
I'd smack him if he's naughty. And believe me, he can be. With his feeding, with wanting things from his sisters. Very willful, a right boy. Maybe I have been firmer with him sometimes, sir, firmer than with the girls. Maybe it is because I see his father in him. Because I see that and I want to keep him from being selfish and spoilt and that. But that's firmness, sir. That's discipline. Never anger, sir, never.
Thank you. Mr. Lotterby?
Sheena, these things you said to Mr. Webster last May, that you twice lost all control over your child and that you couldn't be held responsible for what you might do in the future, that's hardly consistent with what you just told his lordship.
It was like you said to Mr. Webster about the accommodation. That flat's a terrible place. 4 flights up, no facilities, a right death trap for kiddies. I mean, what right have they to condemn a family of 5 to a place like that?
You were asked about your remarks to Mr. Webster.
Well, that's the way it was, sir. I wanted out of that place. And for all the rights we had on our side, I couldn't get any action, nothing but promises.
So?
So I was getting frantic by this time. I'd met Alison James the first time I was around there in April, and she said I'd never get any backing from this Webster, unless he thought I was on the point of suicide or something dreadful like that. So that's what I told him.
You invented it. That is what you are telling us.
That's right, sir.
Thank you, Sheena.
Just about the most damning thing you could have invented, Mrs. Smithson, the way things have turned out.
Yes, I can see that.
Ironic.
Yes.
But then everything seems to have conspired against you, doesn't it? Your husband always away, an interfering mother-in-law, uncaring local authorities. You married beneath yourself, didn't you?
Oh, I wouldn't see that.
Well, your father was a civil servant in Stirling.
Yes.
God-fearing parents who brought you up in the ways of the church.
Yes.
Set you standards of conduct, hygiene and morality that you were determined to sustain.
Well, yes, and why not?
Standards that you find somewhat lacking in your husband and his mother.
Well, sometimes.
And also in the people in the vicinity of Crindle House.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. You haven't isolated yourself from them then. Mrs. Smithson, are you not rather a snob?
Just because I aim at certain standards for my children doesn't
And
mean
what
I'm a
about your
snob.
relationship with your husband, this monster, this brute who beats you when you're 8 months pregnant?
He did.
Maybe. But then was there not some provocation? A wife who's become a compulsive nagger, forever blaming him as a failure, as an adulterer.
I don't say I'm any good as a wife. I'm not. I realised that years ago. But as a mother...
Ah, yes, as a mother you have standards. But then are you really such a competent mother?
What do you mean?
Well, a competent mother, knowing that she was getting worn out and getting these black moods of hate that you've admitted to, a competent mother would have done something about it.
But I went to the doctor.
But then there are other people to talk to.
Such as?
Well, the neighbours can help if given half a chance. And a granny can ease the burden somewhat if you'll only let her try. And what about the creche? What use did you use of
You should just see it.
Not clean enough for you. Too crowded. And the local nursery school, now Fiona is 5 years old. Why did you not send her there?
It's not compulsory.
No, but it's a tremendous help, Mrs. Smithson. Assuming, of course, that you don't mind your child mixing with the hoi polloi.
My lord, I don't see where all this is leading us.
No.
And all this continual bickering at the local authority as if you're some sort of special case, meriting some privileged attention over your other neighbours from whom you've isolated yourself.
I never saw anything but our rights.
Your rights, Mrs. Smithson, yes. Well, it's a pity you didn't think about your rights on the afternoon of September the 3rd.
What do you mean?
You were worrying yourself sick for fear that your husband had finally deserted you.
What does that
The
got to do
endless
with my
rain, the
rights?
television and the washing machine all going wrong. The children all ill and playing up. You were at your wits' end. It all got on top of you. Isolated, distraught, these black moods of hate. Now, what really happened, Mrs. Smithson? The baby did have a tummy trouble, as you say, and he vomited his tea all over himself and over the living room floor.
No.
It was too much. It was the last straw.
No.
You lost control and you hit him again and again.
I didn't.
It's a pity you didn't think about your rights then.
What
Mrs.
rights?
The rights of a mother to her child. The rights you may well lose because of that spontaneous burst of brutality.
Stupid thing! Leave me alone! Restrain the prisoner.
Constables, hold up.
The case of the Queen against Smithson will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Today in Fulchester Crown Court, proceedings continue against Mrs. Sheena Smithson, charged with attempting to murder her 14-month-old son. Central to the prosecution's case is the claim that she is given to moods of uncontrollable passion. The defence has brought medical evidence to dispute this, but yesterday proceedings had to be abruptly adjourned because Sheena broke down under cross-examination and tried to run from the court.
And I think that last remark was quite uncalled for, Miss Tate. Members of the jury, innocent or guilty, the accused inevitably is bound to have certain apprehensions about the possible consequences of this case. And I refer to the threat to her parental rights, and she is the mother of 3 children. Now, no doubt the prosecution will want to hold up yesterday's incident as an example of the accused's potential for violence. And it is up to you to make up your own minds whether or not you agree with that. But I will not tolerate any more displays such as necessitated yesterday's adjournment. Is that understood, Miss Tate?
I apologise, my lord.
Very well. Now let's get on.
Now, Mrs. Smithson, whilst heeding his lordship's observations of your conduct in court yesterday, I still feel I must question you on your behaviour whilst on remand.
Yes.
How would you describe your relationship with the prison officers whilst you were on remand?
All right, but they didn't understand.
All
that I was
right. Were you not put under sedation as a result of a quarrel with a prison officer?
She should never have said that.
And did you not then try to abscond from the prison?
Yes.
Speak up, please.
Yes.
And do you not agree that this incident could be construed as yet another example of your tendency to lose control under pressure and resort to violence?
My lord, as has already emerged in evidence, the defendant was under the most unreasonable stress in prison. No one forthcoming with a surety for bail, consistently denied all contact with her children.
Miss Tate?
Perhaps so, my lord. But then surely the jury should be allowed to know of the incident, so that, as his lordship said regarding Mrs. Smithson leaving the court yesterday, they may be allowed to judge for themselves.
Yes, but they must...
Very well. And now, since the jury has heard both your points of view, let's leave it at that, shall we?
Mrs. Smithson, if we could go over your version of how Peter's injuries occurred. Now, you say that things were pretty chaotic that afternoon.
Yes.
And amongst other things, the television set was faulty.
Yes.
In what way?
The picture kept coming and going.
Well, there was nothing wrong with the sound.
No.
Now, you see, I find this very strange, that if the sound was functioning correctly, as you say, you could still hear the closing of a car door. A car way down the street and 4 stories down.
What?
It was raining, so presumably the windows were closed.
Ah, well, no, you see, the kitchen looks out over the balcony, so the windows are sheltered. I was able to have them open.
Oh, how fortunate.
And the door through to the living room was closed, so I could hear the car outside.
I see. So you were filling the washing machine, and then you went out onto the balcony and looked over.
Yes.
And no sooner had you got out there than your eldest daughter, Fiona, who moments before you'd left, shut in the living room with the television set on, Fiona came out to you and told you that the kitchen was flooded.
Oh, I think... I don't remember for sure. Maybe it was the television she came about.
You don't remember?
It was the telly.
The television and not the flooding that you described to us earlier.
Aye.
So, in fact, when you went back in to adjust the television set, as you now tell us, you wouldn't have had this rush, this sense of urgency that you described to us before.
Well, you see, the kitchen opens out onto the front hall, so as I came back into the telly, I was able to see the mess.
In the kitchen?
Aye.
So you're coming in and seeing the mess in the kitchen, that was what made you forget to close the door. Now, that's the new version that you're telling us now.
Well, that's how it was.
You're sure?
Yes.
Well, I put it to you, madam, that is not how it was at all.
Oh?
Mrs. Smithson, you say that you panicked when you saw young Peter falling down the stairs, and yet with an unconscious baby in your arms and 2 very upset little girls, you were still able to shut the door and chain it as you returned into the flat. It was chained when your mother-in-law arrived a few moments later. Mrs. Smithson, you never heard a car door slam, and you never went onto the balcony.
I did so.
It had been a terrible day, and you were at your wits' end. You were filling the washing machine when suddenly the television set lost its picture, and the children started screaming. You dashed in to see what was wrong and adjust the set, but no sooner had you done this than to return to the kitchen than you saw that was flooded with water.
No.
You were furious. But before you could clear it up, the children were shouting again. You went back in, and there was young Peter, who had vomited all over himself and the living room floor.
No.
It was too much. You lost control.
I didn't.
And the next thing you knew, young Peter was lying on the floor unconscious.
Lies.
He was unconscious, Mrs. Smithson, and in your hand was one of the heavy building blocks from the corner or a heavy kitchen implement.
Are you all right?
If I could just take some water, please. Thank you. Thank you. I'm fine now.
Very well. Miss Tate?
My lord? Well, Mrs. Smithson, do you deny that's how it really happened?
I do.
You're still clinging to your tattered version of car door slamming and all that?
You'd really think a mother could lose control, like you said, strike her own baby.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Mrs. Smithson.
You're not a mother yourself, are you? Are you?
Mrs. Smithson, you will confine yourself to answering questions.
It's just if she was. If she'd ever been a mother with love for her children, she'd know.
Know what? That you gained some sort of miraculous forbearance?
You'd know the feeling of having a life grow inside of you, the wonder of it. But you, being in a profession, a career of your own, you couldn't know. But when you're just a housewife, when you've had your marriage fail, then the one thing that you do still have are your babes. Their limbs are right. They haven't turned out Mongols or subnormals. They're whole and perfect and lovely. The one thing that hasn't failed. You don't ever hurt them, Miss Tate. That's the last thing. The very last.
Well, if we could just return to the case again, Mrs. Smithson, you do have moods.
Yes.
Black moods of hate when you hate even yourself.
But never them.
Mrs. Smithson, I put it to you that you acted on an impulse of uncontrollable passion. A passion of which an obsessive personality such as you have displayed for us would be fully capable.
No.
No further questions.
Mr. Lotterby, do you wish to re-examine?
No, my lord, thank you.
You may return to the dock.
Thank you.
My last witness, my lord, is the social worker, Miss Alison James.
Alison James, please. Will you come this way?
Miss James, it was you who interviewed the defendant on her first visit to the Social Services Department in April.
Yes, it was.
Would you tell us about it, please?
She explained to me how things were at home, how cut off she felt, the grotty place they were in, the trouble with her husband and his mother and so on. Well, at first I wasn't too sure how we could help, so I asked her to wait while I checked with the director.
And Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Do you know what he did?
Yes, he told me to tell her to get in touch with the infants clinic.
And did you do that?
Well, yes.
How did she respond?
She was pretty fed up. Well, naturally. As far as I remember, we exchanged some remarks about the great welfare state, the lack of facilities and so on.
Nothing else?
I think I said if she wanted any help from us, she'd be better to come in and throw a fit or something, start rolling on the floor, threaten suicide. I was pretty bitter, I suppose.
And then what happened?
Well, the next thing was about a month later. Mr. Webster called me in and asked me to start home visits with the family.
Did he tell you why his attitude had changed?
That she'd been getting violent with the youngest child, yes.
Did this surprise you?
Well, yes, at first, very much. But then when I started the visits, I thought it was something she'd just made up to get some action.
Something she'd just made up to get some action. I see. Now, how many of these visits did you actually make?
About 10, usually for a couple of hours or so, unless the husband was at home.
Oh, what happened then?
Well, then I was in and out of the place in about 10 minutes. He resented my being there.
I see. And during the course of these visits, what conclusions did you make concerning Sheena Smithson?
That she was an intelligent woman with a disastrous marriage.
And as a mother?
Devoted. Dedicated. She'd obviously decided to compensate for the marital mess by making something of the children.
And you respected her for this?
Oh, yes. It was all loaded against her. Her husband, his dreadful mother, a council flat totally unsuited for a family with 3 young children.
So then what did you do?
Well, I went to Mr. Webster and I asked him to put pressure on the housing people. It was the only possible way we could help, really.
And how did he respond?
He refused point blank. We had a hell of a row about it.
And then?
I told him I wanted a transfer.
I see.
There were other issues, of course, but that was the one that brought it to a head.
Now, Miss James, when you heard that Sheena Smithson was being charged with attempting to murder her son, what did you do?
Well, I was absolutely staggered, of course. And then, naturally, as soon as I could, I went and visited her in prison. Of course, I realised all along how there was a lot of jealousy, hatred even, on the part of the mother-in-law. And then when I saw Sheena in prison and heard all the circumstances, well, it seemed obvious. It was her, the mother-in-law, who'd pointed the finger and started this witch hunt against Sheena.
Miss James, you developed a lot of sympathy for the accused during your visits to her last summer.
I liked her, yes.
You became very involved with her case.
And no more than the other cases I was handling.
Oh, come now, it was not over the other cases that you demanded a transfer.
No,
you
but there
felt
were...
so deeply that you had an argument with your director about it.
Even
an
so...
argument that could seriously jeopardize your career in the service. Isn't that true?
I suppose so.
Just as you're coming here to court today and giving evidence in the manner that you are doing, just as that could jeopardize your future.
Look, if it's a question of my career or justice for Sheena, you don't think that I'm going to stand back
and... it's just that I wonder if there isn't something a little less noble than justice that's motivated your coming here today.
My lord, you're prepared to justify that, of course.
I fully expect to do so, my lord. Miss James, you say that you concluded that Mrs. Smithson's prior confessions of violence against baby Peter were invalid because it was something she'd just made up.
Yes.
Well, why did you not report it then to the director?
Well, obviously I wasn't going to. It'd simply have scrapped the visits.
Because it'd have realised that the whole thing was a trick to get better accommodation.
Well, I wouldn't say it was
So it was a trick. And that is why, when Mr. Webster failed to fall for it, you felt no anxiety about asking for a transfer.
Anxiety?
Well, your transfer meant that you'll be leaving Mrs. Smithson to get on with it.
Well,
her one ally in this campaign of hers, and you were quite happy to pull out and leave her to it. Leave her to her disastrous marriage and her grotty flat. And then what happened? Within 5 weeks of your going, 5 weeks, Miss James, she had a comatose child and a charge of attempted murder against her. And that, I suggest, Miss James, is why you are here to plead her innocence, your sense of guilt.
No, not in the least. As I say, it was simply a question
Do you deny that you have a reputation for siding with the mothers in these child abuse cases?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, isn't it true that you associate too closely with the mothers? You become over-involved.
No.
You are unable to admit that they are capable, even under dire stress, of these flashes of insane cruelty. Isn't that so?
No.
And that is the reason why you've asked for this transfer. You recognise your inability to cope with these cases, and so you asked to be transferred to Liverpool, where you could deal almost entirely with juvenile delinquents and drug abuse cases, correct?
It was the accommodation.
No, Miss James, that was just incidental. That's what brought it to a head. You said that yourself. We can always recall Mr. Webster and ask him, you know.
Oh, he'll say so, no doubt.
And your other colleagues?
Look, I'm not denying that I'm better at dealing with teenagers, but that doesn't mean to say that I misjudged Sheena.
Well, I suggest that you did, Miss James, and that you know it. You left her, and had you not done so, she may not be sitting in the box where she is today.
No!
And young Peter may not be in hospital, a possible vegetable, for the rest of his life.
Oh, my lord. Miss Tate, I suggest that you should be the last to talk about over-involvement.
I apologise, my lord.
Have you any further questions to put to this
No.
witness? Miss James, have you any reply you would like to make to counsel's observation?
Thank you, my lord. It's just this, sir. If I do seem over-anxious about Sheena Smithson, it's nothing to do with guilt. It's because of the consequences if you find against her. I deal with delinquents, yes. And all I can say is if you want to turn these Smithson children into candidates for delinquency, then go ahead. Break up the family, condemn them to institutions, or even worse, into the care of that woman, their granny. Go ahead, it's your choice.
Thank you, Miss James. No re-examination, Mr. Lotterby?
No, my lord. Thank you, Miss James.
You may stand down.
That concludes the case for the defence, my lord.
Miss Tate.
Members of the jury, it is hard to address you dispassionately in this case because the issues involved are so emotive and tragic, and on both sides. On the one hand, we have a young woman, a mother, with evident love for her children, but she is the victim of dire domestic stresses, a disastrous marriage, inadequate accommodation, and a state of anxiety that she has admitted reduce her to these black moods of hate and despair. On the other hand, we have a 15-month-old child with appalling brain injuries. Injuries he could well have suffered as a result of one of these moods. Now, she has denied this, pleading instead that it was all a ghastly accident. But surely, under cross-examination, her account of the accident emerged as woefully contrived. For instance, the slam of this car door, heard 4 stories below and over the sound of a television set. Concrete stairs on which no traces of blood could later be found. And then the child himself, with whom she had admitted being severe and twice losing control. Clearly, she is guilty. But in confirming this, do not imagine that you are subjecting her and her children to some form of Dickensian oppression. The process of our laws is now mercifully enlightened in dealing with cases such as these. You see, the object is not to punish the parent, as to empower the state to take remedial action. Now, some of you, parents yourself maybe, will feel great sympathy for this woman. But how will you feel if next year, if you decide to acquit her of the charge, how will you feel if you read in the newspapers that young Peter is dead, struck down with similar injuries incurred in a similar situation? What are your feelings then? Members of the jury, you have a duty in this case, and it is a merciful one, to find the accused guilty as charged.
My lord, members of the jury, let us be clear as to what the prosecution would have us believe. That the defendant is a monster, a brute, who, picking up some heavy instrument, struck her baby with such force, such ferocity, as to cause him serious brain injuries and put him in a coma. Now, can you believe this of the woman you've come to know here in this courtroom? However distraught she may become, can you believe this mother who so loves her children that they are to her whole life, can pick up some heavy object and smash her baby over the head? And can you believe she then wiped the heavy object clean so as to fool the police forensic experts? No, members of the jury, it simply won't do. Indeed, the prosecution has brought forward so little real evidence that you may well ask yourselves how this case ever came to court. Well, the answer to that is simple. Certain people took it upon themselves to go to the police. Now, let's look at these people, shall we? The mother-in-law, who saw that here was a chance to discredit her son's wife and gain control over his family. The husband, a weak character who has been engaged in what can only be described as open warfare with his wife. And Mr. Webster, the senior social worker, who had been led to believe that my client had twice lost control over her child. Now, the police did not check on these informants. They did not know of the hate and prejudice of the husband and the mother-in-law. They failed to unearth the ironic truth behind Mr. Webster's evidence that Sheena Smithson had said what she did as part of her desperate campaign to get her family into a better home. Members of the jury, mere accusation is not enough. Certainly not enough for you to separate this mother from her children. And I ask you to acquit her of this absurd and wicked charge.
Now, about this charge of attempted murder. In order that that should be proved, the intent to murder has to be proved, and in my opinion, insufficient evidence has been advanced to support it. I therefore direct you to acquit on that charge. Miss Tate, do you wish to challenge that instruction?
No, my lord.
I wish you only to consider, therefore, the alternative charge of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm. Now, this has been for you, at times, a harrowing and emotionally charged case, not the least during the closing speeches. You heard references to brutes and monsters, to what your feelings might be should young Peter die next year, and it is my duty to urge you to put all these sentiments out of your mind and to look at the case from a purely dispassionate point of view, as the law requires of you. Now, all the evidence you have heard is circumstantial evidence. That is, you have no physical evidence, such as fingerprints on a blood-stained weapon to prove guilt, any more than you have a blood-stained staircase to support innocence. Instead, a picture has emerged of the sad circumstances of the Smithson marriage. A sad picture of disputes, jealousies, tensions, sometimes violence. A picture all too familiar in this age of social tensions with its attendant problems of housing, inflation, and so forth. Indeed, you've heard the evidence of Dr. Park, who has said that amongst his patients he has many young mothers whose dilemmas are just as extreme, if not more so, than that of the defendant, Sheena Smithson. Now, she has admitted that these marital tensions drove her to moods of a dire nature, but she insists that the moods were never bad enough to drive her to the extremes of violence suggested by the prosecution. Then you have heard what you may well consider to be the most damning evidence of all, that of the director of the Fulchester Social Services, who says that in May the accused confessed to him prior assaults on baby Peter, saying that she could no longer trust herself with him. But this evidence was strongly challenged by the social worker, Miss James, who discounted these confessions as mere pretense in order to gain for the family better housing. And that brings us to the accused's explanation as to how the child's terrible injuries were incurred. Now, if you believe her story of hearing the car, seeing the washing machine, leaving the flat door ajar so that Peter could crawl out along the balcony for that fateful tumble down the stairs, if you accept this, then you must acquit. If, on the other hand, you feel that the prosecution was successful in discrediting this story, then it is your duty to find her guilty as charged. The members of the jury, you will now please withdraw and consider your verdict.
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the prisoner Sheena Smithson guilty or not guilty of attempted murder?
Not guilty.
Do you find the prisoner Sheena Smithson guilty or not guilty of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm?
Not guilty.
You are discharged and may leave the court.
Court will rise.
A fortnight after the trial, Peter underwent further brain surgery, which proved so successful that he was allowed home from hospital within the month. Next week, a chance for you to join another jury in assessing the facts when our cameras return to watch a leading case in the Crown Court.